Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall. This is, of course, if you're looking at this and you played Daggerfall in 1996 when it released, this is not the original Daggerfall. This is Daggerfall in Daggerfall Unity. Daggerfall Unity is a kind of fan-made remake of Daggerfall within the Unity engine. So that's what we're going to be playing in this playthrough. This is a 100% blind playthrough. Well, I say 100% blind. That's not quite true. I do know some things about this game. I did, because we are playing with, if you see down here, mods. We are playing with mods. And so I needed to basically test to make sure that, you know, when we got to the open world, things would load and stuff like that. So I have been through the first dungeon. I've skipped the cutscene every single time. So if you ask me what the premise of the game is, I have no idea. But I needed to basically stability test that, you know, with all the mods that we are using, that the game loads and nothing weird goes on, which could theoretically still happen down the line, but let's keep our fingers crossed that, you know, it won't. But it does load out of the starting dungeon. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. My name is Samuel. If you are a returning viewer, whether it be from the Elder Scrolls I Arena, which we finished last week, or, you know, from Yakuza 0, which is currently being uploaded, or, you know, from another game series, you know, months or years down the line, welcome back. I am really looking forward to playing the Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall. I know this is a game that is near and dear to many people's hearts, and I know that while I enjoyed Arena, my biggest complaint with Arena is it was very, you know, had a very wide map, but the depth I always felt was kind of lacking. And again, I don't blame it 100%. You know, if you didn't know the history of Arena, it was originally tending to kind of be like a team, like, beat 'em up. You go around to different areas and, like, fight the champion of the town. And it really wasn't until somewhat into the development cycle that they changed it to be, you know, kind of an RPG with, like, questing. So I don't hold that too much against them with lore, but this is really where the lore comes in. I'm really looking forward to playing it as someone, you know, my only experience with the Elder Scrolls games was, my first game was Skyrim, and the last time I played that was about 10 years ago. And then I played the Elder Scrolls Online a little bit, but I also treat MMOs as just an ability for me to do stuff while I listen to my podcast and get caught up with the podcasts that I listen to. So I really, you know, don't know a lot of the lore of stuff. So that's kind of the reason why we're playing this. So let us go over the mods real quick, because we are doing a lot of mods in this. And as I said, throughout the series, as we progress through the games, we're probably going to be adding more and more mods. So the mods that we're using in this is Ambient Text, the Archaeologists Guild. I know that it's a guild that is added in the game. I know there's a Mages Guild in the game. I know there's a Fighters Guild in the game. I know there's Dark Brotherhood and Thieves Guilds in the game. That is my knowledge as far as guilds of what's in this game. Arena-style flavor text, basic roads, better ambience, better quality descriptions, Bloodfall, Daggerfall expanded textures, darker dungeons, DET Dream models, detailed city walls, everything from Dream. Dream is a graphics overhaul for the Daggerfall Unity game, so the game's going to look a little bit different maybe if you're playing than in, you know, vanilla, you know, Daggerfall Unity. Dynamic skies, Finding My Religion, fixed dungeon exteriors, hand-painted models, location loader, ready to spellcasting hands, real grass, travel options, realistic wagon, repair tools, rest warning if unwell, roleplay realism items, skullduggery, a thief overhaul, start saver, taverns redone for Dream Patch, for, you know, taverns redone, which only does about half the taverns in the game, but, you know, for the ones that it'll do, it'll be nice. Temples cure poison, the Pinwick Papers, training service overhaul, the unofficial block location model fix, that blocks add-on for basically this down here, Uncanny UI, usable starting equipment, Vibrant Winds, Windmills of Daggerfall, World of Daggerfall, and World Tooltips. So those are the mods that we are using for this game. It is quite a number of them, but again, as we progress through the game, we are going to be doing more and more. It's not enough where I feel like it's going to, you know, vastly change the overall feel of the game. A lot of it is like graphics overhaul stuff and slight changes here and there. So Yeah, a couple of housekeeping matters real quick before we actually start the game. Number one, as far as the length of these episodes, the episode lengths for the Elder Scrolls 1 Arena intended to be around 45 minutes. The episode length of Yakuza 0, which is currently getting uploaded, tends to be about an hour, hour and 15. I typically let the game dictate the length of the episodes. I like to typically go about 45-ish minutes, but if it needs to be, if the game, kind of feels like it needs to be longer episodes, I will go longer episodes. Again, I don't know how long the episodes for this is going to be. Again, it's probably going to be around 45 minutes-ish, but we'll see, and possibly the episode length will change as the game progresses. Number 2, as far as upload schedule. If you followed me for the Elder Scrolls 1 Arena, you already know the upload schedule. If you didn't, well, first off, go check out the Elder Scrolls 1 Arena playthrough. It is up and complete. There's an episode 0, which is character creation. There is a review episode, and if you're counting those 2 episodes as official episodes, then the entirety of the playlist is 24 episodes, and it's all uploaded, and I had a really good time playing it. But I said at the end of that basically the upload schedule for Arena was you got a new episode every day until the game was complete. I have kind of said that I would still love to keep that, and that is still my goal for this series and Yakuza and all the games I ever do. I don't want to make a promise on something I can't deliver, so I have kind of made this statement for this game and the games moving forward. At a bare minimum, you are going to see a new episode of Daggerfall one time a week, bare minimum, with a goal to get a episode out every day or every other day. Now, what might end up happening is, if it's the every other day thing, would be that Yakuza 0, which is the current game being uploaded, and this game will alternate days. So, 1 week you'll get 3 episodes of Daggerfall Unity, the next week you'll get 4 episodes of Daggerfall Unity, that kind of thing. Again, the goal is still to get an episode out every day, but a bare minimum guarantee is an episode a week, because I know I can deliver on that, again, barring like my computer deciding to just spontaneously combust. Let's knock on wood. The other real quick note I would say, or the housekeeping matter, is well, I guess 2. Number 1, the only other thing that I know, because I did go to the UESP, or the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages, because I know there are books in this game. I have created a Excel document list with all the books in the game. I've stayed spoiler free as far as like anything as far as the game goes, but I have created a list of every book in the game, and basically what I would like to do before this series is done is to have read every book in the game, because again, one of the reasons I'm playing this game is to kind of understand the lore progression throughout the series. The way that'll work is, if there is a book that we have not read, at the end of the episode we will read that book. For the people that want to stick around, they can stick around. For those that don't want to stick around, they don't have to stick around. But I encourage you to, we can learn about lore together. So the other housekeeping matter is as far as a build. So for the Elder Scrolls 1 Arena, I typically said my Elder Scrolls type of play that I typically like is a stealth assassin rogue kind of a thing. I kind of went out of my comfort zone in the Elder Scrolls 1 Arena by going with a kind of a sorcerer build, basically a sorcerer for that, because I never typically do magic, and I kind of went outside of my comfort zone, and I really enjoyed it. Really, magic was kind of OP in that game, and I was kind of undecided on what type of character to make in Daggerfall. But again, because I had to stress test, or not stress test, but basically, that's what I'm looking for. I had to test to make sure that the outside would actually load. I actually used that opportunity to do a couple things. I used that opportunity to learn controls, because you guys don't want to see me fumbling around trying to learn controls in this game as I play. Number 2, I used this opportunity to kind of test builds to kind of see what would work, what wouldn't, because again, my goal as a Let's Player, even as a blind Let's Player, is I want to mix between not picking something that is so OP that there is no challenge, but not something so difficult that it becomes a monotonous slog for me as a Let's Player or you guys as a viewer. So something, a nice balance. You know, there's time for me to get frustrated by being, you know, an idiot, and that's, you know, in the Dark Souls series when we play it on the channel. This is not that time. You know, we don't want to see me be, you know, an idiot for, you know, 40 episodes or however. I have no idea how long this game's going to be. It's going to be, I feel, a lot longer, because I know the, you know, general depth of the game, they say, is quite deep. But nobody wants to see, you know, a build that is just not good for that long. So the first build that I did running through the game, trying to basically see how does the game run with all the mods, does everything load correctly, does everything seem okay, I built a custom character where it was kind of a mix between magic and basically combat with the custom class, and I'm gonna be honest, I did not have a good time. In the Elder Scrolls 1 Arena playthrough, I think I died 23 times in total. I'm not even joking. In the first dungeon here, I died probably 30 to 40 times. Most of it was due to skeletons. And I just had not a good time. So I was able to get out and test that the world loaded. I went to the first town to see, like, does towns load correctly, just to make sure. Can I go in and out of buildings and towns and stuff like that? And everything worked fine. So I do know where also the first town is in this game. But other than that, it's blind. So I'm like, well, God, that's just god-awful. So let me try a few different builds. So I actually, over the past number of days, I have went through and tested a number of builds for this game to see what is, you know, a combination between, you know, powerful but not so OP that it's you know, there's no challenge, but not so weak that it would be just a pain to sit through or a pain to play. And so I tried a pure magic build where, you know, I do magic. And I'm going to be honest, I was thinking about going that route, but then I did a little bit of checking on some stuff. Again, I tried to stay spoiler-free, but, you know, builds is kind of the one thing where I'm like, I don't like using builds unless I absolutely have to. And I felt, as I was progressing through this game, testing out builds, I'm like, I might have to refer to some builds for new players just to kind of see things. And from what I saw, there is a kind of an OP element for a build that I was possibly going down, which was a 3x intelligence spell absorption build, where if you were to cast Fireball at your feet every time, basically you would become OP because you would absorb your own spell and basically kill everything super easy. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's, you know, too far to the right of the, I want a fun build where, you know, things aren't too difficult, but things aren't super difficult. So I'm like, well, let me see some other stuff. So I eventually went and have looked around, and I will say this, I am using a build, and I want to give this person credit because I am using their build that is theirs. So I got this build from YouTube from Storm Saga Games. He uploaded the video on July 31st, 2021. So I'm using his build. It is a combination kind of combat build with supplemented magic. It's one that is not so broken and OP where you cast, you know, Fireball at your feet and, you know, not take damage and be able to kill everything and basically, you know, regen mana super quick, or magic super quick, but, you know, not so difficult that, you know, you die 40 times in the first dungeon. So we are using that build for this game. Again, I don't like using builds, but if I have to, I have to, and I felt like, you know, after testing out a number of different builds and some being, you know, successful, some being not successful, I wanted to make sure for this series that I put myself in the best position as a Let's Player who's going in blind to make it to where it's not bad for me to play through, and also not bad for you guys to have to sit through. So before we begin, let us quickly talk about the game. So the Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall, it is an open world action role-playing game. It was published by Bethesda. It is the second game in the Elder Scrolls series. It was released on September 20th, 1996, and it is the second game in the series following 1994's Elder Scrolls Arena. To stay up to date when an episode of Daggerfall goes up, there's two ways to do that. Number one is to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification. It'll help me out, it'll help the channel out, and it'll help you out. Or also, if you want to follow me on Twitter at the SSH Gaming, I tweet when a video goes live. I pin to the top of my Twitter the upload schedule for the week, because I do record out by about 2-ish weeks, sometimes a little bit more. That way I have a buffer in case I get sick. That way videos can still get uploaded. And then I will retweet some other general gaming news. I will not fill your Twitter timeline with nonsense. I don't like social media that much. That's how to stay up to date on the upload schedule for this game. With that being said, we've been going for a little while, and let us go ahead and play Daggerfall Unity. Again, this is going to be episode 0. We're doing character creation this episode, and then we're going to, because I know for a fact we're most likely starting with the book, because we've started with the book every time I've play tested, basically builds. We'll read a book to end the episode, and then next episode will be us going through the first dungeon. You will see episode 0 and episode 1 together, because if I do an episode 0, I like to kind of also release episode 1 about 30 minutes to an hour later, because it's a character creation episode. Nobody wants to see just a character creation episode for a day. So yeah, you'll get 2 episodes today. So let's go ahead and click play and play the Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall. King of Worms, okay. I will say this, if there is voiced cutscenes in this, I will... Is this going to be voiced? I don't think so. If there's voiced cutscenes in this, I will be quiet to let them do their work. If you are following from Yakuza, I don't do that, but that's because Yakuza games are in Japanese and there's subtitles, so I do talk during that, but in this game I will be quiet during voiced cutscenes. Boy, I am excited, man. I cannot tell you how excited I am to play this. Okay, let us start new game. There are, just like in Elder Scrolls 1 Arena, there is all the provinces of Tamriel. You can play a Breton from High Rock. You can play a Redguard from Hammerfell. You can play a Nord from Skyrim, a Dark Elf or a Dunmer from Morrowind, a Argonian from Blackmarsh, a Khajiit from Elsewhere, a Bosmer or a Wood Elf from Valenwood, or an Altmer or a High Elf from Somerset Isle. You'll notice the Imperial provinces here. It is grayed out. You cannot play an Imperial in this game. Again, I don't know like the development cycle of or the I guess the race implementation of games, because also there's not orcs to play. I want to say Imperial province and orcs get added in Morrowind or Oblivion. I forget which one it is, but you can't play them in this game. So let us go over quickly the benefits of each race. So for an Argonian down here in Blackmarsh, they get a special advantage. They get reduced fatigue loss while swimming, and they can hold their breath longer than any other races. The Breton up here from High Rock, they have a 30+% resistance to, or sorry, a 30% resistance to magic. The Dark Elf over here in Morrowind gets a bonus damage and chance to hit equal to their level divided by 4. The High Elf down here in Somerset Isle, which we played in Arena, has immunity to paralysis, which was super awesome, and because the spiders in Arena apparently would paralyze you, and we never had to deal with that. The Khajiit down here in Elsewhere have a +30 to climbing checks. The Nord up here in Skyrim has a 30% resistance to frost. The Redguard here in Hammerfell has a bonus damage and chance to hit their level divided by 3, so even one better than the Dark Elves. The Wood Elf has a bonus damage and chance to hit for archery. It's their level divided by 3. Yeah, so those are the advantages for each race, and I've kind of thought over what we're going to pick, and, you know, to me, the one that makes the most sense, not only for this, but for the build we're following, is to pick a high elf from Somerset Isle. So that is what we're going to continue on that tradition. Well, that was a nice little, you know, what was it, like heavenly music. High elves hail from the province of Somerset. You are part of a tall, golden-skinned people, extremely intelligent, agile, and willful. The magical nature of Somerset Isle has made the High Elves natural spellcasters who are immune to paralyzing poisons and spells. Is your character to be a high? Yes, it is to be a High Elf. We are going to play a male. And here there are 2 options. You can choose from a list of possible classes to play. You can also create your own custom character class by choosing this option. Or you can generate your character's class by answering 10 questions to determine the class most compatible to you. This is a kind of unique option that was really loved at the time, but nowadays like, what? We are going to go with the choosing our own option. There are a bunch of classes in this game. You can, like, pre-made classes. You could pick mage, you can pick spell sword, battle mage, sorcerer, which we played in Arena, healer, nightblade, bard, burglar, rogue, acrobat, thief, assassin, monk, archer, ranger, barbarian, warrior, knight, and then finally you can make a custom class. That is what we are making. We are making a custom class. And here is the basically custom class creation menu. We have to come up with a class name, so for this, let's just call it the LP class, because that is what this is. This is an LP, a blind Let's Play, but it's a LP nonetheless. And then let us go on ahead. Again, I am using a build from that channel, so I can, if that's not your thing, I apologize, but I have to make decisions that, as a Let's Player, that, you know, benefit not only me, but you guys as well down the line. So we are going to be dropping 25 points from willpower, as well as 25 points from agility. From what I understand, reading even about the original Daggerfall and Daggerfall Unity, is these 2 don't have as much of an impact, especially agility. Agility doesn't have as much of an impact in Daggerfall as it did in Arena. From what I've come to understand is that for every 10 points of agility you put in Arena, it would increase your hit modifier by basically 5%. Whereas in this game, every time you would put in 10 points to increase your hit modifier by 1, it would increase by 1%, because this game changed from a D20 system in Arena to a D100 system in Daggerfall, which is all done behind the scenes. So agility does not have as big as an impact in this game as previous. And so because now we have 50 points to put into elsewhere, other stats, we're going to put 25 points into speed, which will do 2 things. It increases the speed of our character. It increases the speed in which we swing, which was one of the biggest glaring things I had with the first time I ever played this game. Again, testing things, make sure things would load, is I didn't know what speed was. I'm like, oh, this is often just how fast my character moves. I swung so slowly. I was furious. So we are increasing speed, and then we're also going to be increasing strength up to 75. Now here comes skills. The way leveling works in this game is it's no longer, to my knowledge, it's no longer based on XP on enemy kills. It is based on leveling up of skills. From what I've heard, the way leveling up works is it takes into account your 3 primary skills, either your first major skill or your first 2 major skills, and then your first minor skill. So we are, for our first primary skill, we are going to pick the weapon that we're going to be using most, and we are going to be picking long blade, because that is, I think, even in Arena, what we picked, or what we used. For another primary skill, we are going to go on ahead and pick critical strike, and then because we also are going to have magic in this build, we do want to pick restoration just for healing. For major skills, we are going to pick stealth, I guess we should actually go through all of the options for skills, even the ones we don't pick. So real quick, the other options for skills is alteration. So that is going to be things like, for example, if you cast shield, archery, which we didn't even do in the last game, axe, which is for axes, backstabbing, which is for backstabbing, blunt weapons for like clubs. There are languages in this game, so there's the Centurion language, there's climbing in this game, there's the Daedric language, destruction magic, dodging, Dragonish language, etiquette, which is, I believe, there are different ways to talk to people in this game. There's the polite option, there's the normal option, and there's like the I don't want to use the word rough option, but basically there's the or rude option. But basically, if you ask politely, it is based on your etiquette. If you use basically the straight to the point option, it uses another skill which is called streetwise. Giantish, hand to hand, harpy. Again, some of the giantish and harpy are basically speech based language stuff. Illusion, impish, jumping, lockpicking, medical, mercantile, mysticism, nymph, orcish, pickpocket, running, short blade, spriggan, that streetwise we talked about, swimming, and thaumaturgy. So let us actually exit, because I forget the last thing we picked. We picked stealth. Okay. Then we're going to pick dodging, and we're going to pick destruction. So if you notice, the first two in primary and the first two in major are like combat-based stuff, and then the last one in each primary and major is magic. For our minor skills, we are going to pick, the first one is mysticism. Apparently, the reason we're putting this here is there's something called recall that you can do in this game, which I'm looking forward to, because apparently you can cast a spell called recall. It sets a target point, and then if you cast it again, it'll send you back to where you first cast recall. So basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be casting recall at the start of a dungeon, and then when we found whatever we need to find, I'm casting recall again to go back to the end of the start of the dungeon. That way, I don't have to, trek through all of the dungeons again like we had to do in Arena, which was it wasted so much time. So I'm so happy to see that there is a spell to fix that. We are going to also get into our minor skills: backstabbing, medical. We are going to put in running. We are also putting in climbing, and finally mercantile. And here comes the max hit points per level, special advantages, special disadvantages. Again, I'm following a build. We are going to put the max hit points per level up to 30. That does not mean every time we level that we get 30 hit points. That means that every time we level, we are going to get a random number between 1 and 30 hit points. So that does mean over the course of time as we level, we'll have a higher hit point chance. But that also means, for example, when we level up the first time, we could get, 1 hit point. We could get 30. We could get, 15, 17, any of the numbers between 1 and 30. Let us talk about this this right here, the skill advancement for class, this thing with the dagger right here. If you notice this, it has a difficult and easy, and it has red, and it has X3 and then X.3. And then an average. Basically, this determines how fast or how quickly or how slowly you level. Apparently, the average is the warrior class. That is where the dagger starts. And depending upon max hit points per level, as you can see, as we're increasing or decreasing max hit points per level, the dagger is going up and down. So it's making it more difficult to level. If you get it up to the very top, you cannot start a character in the red on either side. But if you have it at the very top, it'll take you 3 times as long or 3 times as many skill checks to level as an average character. Or if you go down here to 0.3, you'll level 3 times faster than an average character. I will say this: for the build we're following, we will be down here at the 0.3. But again, it's a nice balance, I feel, between us being able to do the game but not be so OP. So let's go over special advantages, because there are going to be some advantages we're taking in this build. The first is expertise in Longblade, which is the weapon we chose. And then we are also, because we are going to be using magic in this, we're taking a 3 times intelligence spell points special advantage. And as you can see, every time we take a special advantage, our dagger is increasing and increasing. We are taking a special advantage in athleticism, and right now, as you see, we're right here near the top. We are taking 2 more. We're taking resistance to disease, and we are taking resistance to poison. That does not mean we're immune. That means every character starts with 25% resistance chance, or so for anything, whether it be paralysis, poison, disease. If you have an immunity to something, it goes all the way to 100%, or I believe 150. I don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% certain, but basically, if you're immune to it, you're immune to it. Everyone starts with a 25% resistance, and if you take resistance in a special advantage, it increases up by 25%. So right now, that means we have a 50% resistance to disease and a 50% resistance to poison. So that does not mean that we are immune to disease or poison. It just means, we have a, half the likelihood of actually getting either. So there is still a chance it happens. And then if we go over here to, let me look quickly, go over here to special disadvantages. As you can see, we're all the way up here in the red. We cannot start a character in the red, so we've got to eventually go all the way down here to 0.3. You're asking how we're going to do that. We're going to do that through adding special disadvantages. So the first special disadvantage we are doing, and it's going to seem counterintuitive to the class we picked, but we are going to pick critical weakness to paralysis. You're saying, didn't you pick a high elf? Aren't high elves immune to paralysis? Yes, they are. Now, in the original Daggerfall game, or the one not in Unity, you could actually take immunity to things as well as critical weaknesses and still be immune to things while even having special disadvantages. It was kind of a glitch that Bethesda didn't account for. This is fixed in Unity. In fact, a lot of the glitches or bugs are fixed in Unity. I'll say this. Unity is not officially out. It's still in beta. It's, I think, in the last beta before it is officially supposed to be released, and they're just basically cleaning up the last little bits of things here and there before it's going to get a full release. Everything in Daggerfall Unity is in the game, so it's not like they're missing anything. Everything from the original Daggerfall is in Daggerfall Unity. They're just fixing, basically polishing it up for official release out of beta. But the reason we're taking critical weakness paralysis is we're already immune. It does not that does not mean then that we're now critically weak to paralysis. Basically, it takes both into account. So we were immune to paralysis, which is let's say a 100% immunity to paralysis. A critical weakness paralysis is a 0% resistance to paralysis. Those even out. So now we have for this character a 50% resistance to paralysis. So this goes along with disease and poison. So now we are 50% resistant to poison resistance poison, disease, and paralysis. So that is one of the first disadvantages we're taking. We're also going to be taking a critical weakness to shock damage. I don't know this, but apparently not a lot of enemies do shock damage in this game, so that's something we're taking. We are going to go on ahead and say we're going to take a forbidden weapon. We cannot use axes in this game. Again, we're long blade stuff, so axes really don't matter. And then we are going to be taking 4 forbidden materials. These are materials that we cannot use. In fact, not only that, but they are also some of the earliest materials you get in the game, but apparently we're going to be leveling so quickly that it should not be a problem. Again, I'm using a build. This could screw me over horribly, but I already screwed myself over multiple times trying to make my own build, and it didn't go well, and this one at least provided some success out of the first dungeon, so that's why we're doing it. So the first forbidden material we're not going to be able to use is steel. The second forbidden material we will not be able to use is Elven. The third forbidden material we will not be able to use is silver. I know that there are certain mobs or certain enemies that have to be killed by certain levels of of weaponry or certain materials of weaponry, but we also have magic for that. So, for example, silver would be able to kill, I believe, probably some specific mobs, but we also have magic, so it's not that big of a deal. And then the final forbidden material we will not be able to use is adamantium, which I've heard apparently is the most rare, or one of the more rare materials in the game as it is. So there's really no disadvantage for you to take it, as is you can't use it because it's rare to begin with. And as you can see, we are now down here to point 3 on the skill advancement for class. So let us go on ahead, and you can also edit reputations. We're not doing this at all. Basically, if you wanted to make the merchants or the peasants or the scholars, nobility or underworld, like you or dislike you more, you can do that. But again, let's say I raise peasants up to 5. That means I must then bring one of these other ones down to 5. So you can't set yourself up to have everybody immediately like you. We're leaving that just as is. So this is going to be the class we're using. We're starting with 75 strength, 50 intelligence, 25 willpower, 25 agility, 50 endurance, 50 personality, 75 speed, and 50 luck. Our primary skills are long blade, critical strike, restoration. Our major skills are stealth, dodging, and destruction. Our minor skills are mysticism, backstabbing, medical, running, climbing, and mercantile. Every time we'll level, we'll gain between 1 and 30 hit points. We have an expertise in long blade, 3 times our intelligence and spell points, athleticism, and we are resistant to disease and poison, as well as resistant to paralysis. And then our disadvantages, we talked about that in the last thing we literally talked about. We are critically weak to shock. We cannot use axes, and we cannot use steel, elven, silver, or adamantium. So let us click exit. Now here are some other stuff. Basically, you can fast start by automatically generating your character's background. You will be able to adjust starting attributes and skills within the character sheet, or you can choose your character's career path by answering 12 important career decisions that will influence your character background. We are going with the bottom option where we choose our own stuff. So let us, here again, this game is going to provide you with basically 12 questions, and you're going to answer it based on it, and basically the choices you make will affect your, what's what I'm looking for? It'll affect certain skills. So what thieving skill have you been studying the longest? Dodging, stealth, backstabbing, lockpicking, climbing, pickpocketing, critical striking, running, or jumping. And I assume that if you pick any of these, you'll get a plus. It could be, who knows, a +1 to, probably a +10 is probably pushing it, but somewhere you'll get an added benefit for picking these. So I'm going to pick critical striking. What school of magic have you been studying the longest? Ooh, that's interesting. I don't know what to pick. Mysticism, I believe, is what affects recall. Restoration affects healing. Alteration affects shields. I don't know what these two affect. Destruction affects, of course, destruction-based spells. I'm going to say destruction, because I think it's better just to load up on damage to start with. The best defense is a good offense, as they say. What is your expertise in combat? Short-bladed weapons, hand-to-hand combat, blunt weapons, axe fighting, or archery? Well, honestly, none of it. Well, I can't use axes to begin with, so we're not picking that option. I don't think I'm ever going to use archery, so we can skip that. Hand-to-hand, blunt or short. Let's go short-bladed weapons. Those are probably, if we're not going to use a long blade, those are probably the next type of weapons we'll pick. As a child, your nickname was Rabbit. Your nickname was Quicksilver, Monkey, Guppy, or Scrapper. Okay. Let's try and figure out what these would mean. I'm assuming Rabbit. Okay. I was thinking speed, because rabbits are fast, but Quicksilver also seems like a speed thing. So what? Rabbits are probably jumping, I'd assume. Quicksilver's running. Monkey is climbing. Monkeys can climb. Guppy, I'm assuming, is swimming. And Scrapper is... oh god. I don't know what scrap fighting. I don't know. From all of those, let's pick Quicksilver for speed. You are friendlier than most with the savage harpies, the simple giants, the immodest nymphs, the glorious dragons, the infernal daedra, the bucolic spriggans, the mischievous imps, or the primitive centaurs. Um, I'm assuming this means you're basically have a higher chance to befriend or pacify these types. Um, because I'm just super interested in them, let's go Daedra. Why not? As you grow older, you receive additional magical training in the School of Destruction, the School of Restoration, the School of Alteration, the School of Illusion, the School of Thaumaturgy, or the School of Mysticism. Um, we did Destruction earlier. We could theoretically do Restoration, but again, let's focus on damage. Again, this could be screwing me over. Should have been focusing on Restoration this entire time, but we're doing Destruction nonetheless. In between formal study, you spent your time socializing with aristocrats, learning street smarts, practicing acrobatics, trespassing, learning economics, swimming, or sparring. Okay, let us see. What would each actually do? I am assuming that each would do things. So, for example, socializing with the aristocrats would probably go and increase my reputation with the nobility. Learning street smart probably goes and increases my reputation with people like the what's the word I'm looking for? The commoners or the common folk, or maybe even the underground. Um, Practicing acrobatics probably is an increase to, what would it be? To jumping, maybe climbing, maybe. Um, Trespassing would probably be sneaking. Learning economics would be, God, what would be learning economics? Oh, it would be probably like prices for like stores and stuff. Um, Probably. Okay. Um, Swimming would be swimming, and sparring would be some form of either I don't know. Because we're going to be doing a lot of combat to start, let's go with sparring. I think that's probably the best option for us. Probably the best option for us. If I wasn't picking that, I'd probably pick learning economics or maybe even trespassing. But right now, I think sparring is probably the best option for our character. Of all disagreeable types, you have the most personal hatred for sanctimonious priests, diabolical wizards, stupid peasants, power mad robber barons, or immoral assassins. From all of those, because of we're not playing the same character as Arena, but I'm the same Let's Player from Arena, so I really have a thing for diabolical wizards, man. J. Garthorne has scarred me. Um, what motivates you into a life of adventure? Riches, fame, knowledge, fun, or helping others? Um, I'm gonna take this kind of meta and say that the reason we're even playing these games to begin with is knowledge. To learn the lore of the game. So we're gonna pick knowledge. What god, if any, do you worship? No god. Zenithar, god of commerce. Debella, goddess of beauty. Akatosh, god of time. Kennerith, the goddess of air. Arche, the birth and death god. Mara, the mother goddess. Julianos, the god of logic, or Stindar, the god of mercy. So this is nice. So this is our first, I guess, confirmation that this is officially, we actually have the divines in the game. So this is awesome. The only, like I said in Arena, some of these were mentioned. Kennerith was mentioned in Arena, and I want to say that was it. Akatosh was, but I believe it was by his. Again, don't quote me on this. I don't know lore, this, so don't hold me, feet to the fire on this. I want to say Akatosh. The elven name for Akatosh is Uriel, and Uriel is mentioned in the game. but those are really the only two divines that are mentioned in the game. So it's nice to see that we actually now legitimately have the divines in this game, because the only time Kinnereth and Uriel were mentioned were as like long practiced and long dead wizards and magic users. They weren't even considered gods. So I guess this is the first confirmation that we are officially getting lore that's going to last all the way through Skyrim, because I recognize all of these names. Let us go on ahead and pick. We could pick none, but I'm going to pick Akatosh, the god of time, because I'm super fascinated with that one particularly. I can't say exactly why, but I've always kind of liked Akatosh. I found him the most interesting. Before you set out for the Imperial City, your mother gave you 100 gold pieces, Cuirass, a pearl, or her favorite book. Well, I mean, let's say her favorite book, because we might get that book, and then we can read. You have the most trouble with resisting poisons, getting along with others, resisting magic, fighting without magic, avoiding disease, or staying awake and alert. Okay, so this is probably going to handicap me in some way or shape or form. So I'm saying if we have the most trouble resisting poison, this is going to probably make me more susceptible to poison. Getting along with others will probably make me have a disadvantage with getting along with other people. Resisting magic will make me inability to actually resist magic. Avoiding disease will make me more likely to have disease. Fighting without magic would probably make fighting a little bit more difficult. Staying awake and alert. I don't know what that is, but that seems like the least bad of all of these options, so I'm going to pick staying awake and alert. Your reputation has changed. I believe that is a spelling mistake. I'm pretty sure that should be has. Your reputation it should be has. Your reputation has changed as follows. Basically, commoners, merchants, scholars, nobility, underworld has been unchanged completely. That's fantastic. Name thyself. So there is no, unlike Arena, this character is not named like in the manual. Whereas in the Elder-Scrolls-A-Thon Arena, the character was named in the manual as Talon. So we can actually name this character whatever we want. So I kind of went through some of the online and looked for some kind of like elvish name generators, and a name popped up that I like. So we're gonna go with, and this might be the name for every one of our characters from here on out, because I enjoy it. Let's go with Vassip. And choose thy face. Let us see what option looks the best. Let's go with this one. This one looks kind of like smug but knowledgeable, and someone who would use combat and magic. And here we go. We can, just like in Arena, you roll for first added points. Except this one, you can actually save rolls, and it will save your roll, and you can continue to re-roll. If you don't like anything that's come up since the last re-roll, you can actually load that old roll. So again, strength will increase your damage to plus, X amount, and will also increase your carry weight. Intelligence increases the number of spell points you have. Willpower increases your magic resistance. Agility affects your to hit modifier. Again, that really is not as super beneficial in Daggerfall, to my knowledge, as it was in Arena. Endurance affects hit points and your healing rate. Personality affects, basically how people respond to you. Speed affects the speed of your character and the weapon's swing speed, and luck is kind of like an all-in-one, all-encompassing attribute that, from what I've understood, it affects also to hit and to dodge modifiers, but a lot of people assume that it affects loot. It apparently has no effect whatsoever on loot. So it's just kind of like a end all. I think it also affects climbing success rate. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll a little bit, and I'm going to make a cut, and when we get a good roll, I will cut back and load it into, the attributes I want to stick it into. So, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I've been rolling for a while, and I think this is the best roll we're going to get. So we're going to increase everything into strength to give us a 98th strength, 60 intelligence, 30 willpower, 26 agility, 51 endurance, 58 personality, an 82 speed, and a 57 luck. I think that's the best we're going to get. And I'm happy with that. So let's go ahead and click OK. We are going to put 6 points into Longblade because that's our main weapon. We are going to let's put it into Stealth, and then let us put it into Mysticism. And then let us player reflexes determine the overall speed of the game. If you pick very high reflexes, monsters will move and attack very quickly, forcing you to be quick with the controls. Very low reflexes mean the monsters will move and attack slowly, allowing you to adapt more cautious, thoughtful playstyle. Your character will advance a little slower with lower reflex settings, while advance a little faster with higher reflex settings. Okay. If that is the case, we are going to go on ahead and then pick a very high reflex setting is what we are going to go on ahead and pick. So very high, and okay. And this is the final, character screen. There's our face. There's all of our skills and where we're at. And let's go on ahead and click OK and get the cutscene for the Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall. I actually get to see it for the first time. I'm excited.
400 years after Uriel Septim's reign, the beginning will meet the end, and the bloody circle will close at the Empire of Tamriel. The unworthy heirs of the Septim dynasty have allowed the bonds of the Empire to weaken and crack. Uriel Septim VII cannot repair what his ancestors ignored. The provinces fight among themselves like neglected children, drunk with rebellion, and one indomitable power hides itself, but not forever.
Was that just me, or was that like really hard to understand? So it's the same person as Arena.
Excuse the gloom, but none may know of this meeting. The nature of my trouble is darker still. Over a year ago, King Lysandus of Daggerfall died honorably on the field of battle. He was as loyal a subject, ally, and friend as you are. I did grieve for him, but his spirit does not rest. With a spectral army, he haunts his former kingdom, crying for revenge. I do not know why a good and loyal man would be so cursed. Perhaps you can find the answer and close the marble jaws of oblivion, bringing peace to his soul. I ask this as your emperor and your friend. I have one lesser request. Several years ago, I wrote a letter to the Queen of Daggerfall. It never arrived. The letter was of a sentimental and personal nature. If you find and destroy that letter, I will be grateful. Now, my champion, rest well this night, for tomorrow you sail for the kingdom of Daggerfall.
All right, so that was really cool. That was a live action. Okay. So this is some mod stuff, so I'll go over it quickly. Warm Ashes version 3 Wilderness. Watch your step as the beings of this world will follow you in your footsteps. Do you want to enable wilderness encounters? Again, this is a mod. We're going to go on ahead and say yes to probably all of these. Do you want to, the runes, the forgotten homes of loved ones become salvation for those who seek it. Do you want to enable rune encounters? Yes. Bandits and necromancers will find new places to call home. Do you want to enable labyrinth encounters? Yes. Fortresses will be well guarded and filled with armies ready to kill. Do you want to enable fortress encounters? Yes. The living dead will walk the night. Do you want to enable graveyard encounters? Yes. Cities will be more active. Warriors will pass by. Contests will be held, and new services will be available. Do you want to enable city encounters? Yes. And here is the text. You wake, looking around the room. Some hours ago, you were in a boat, en route to Daggerfall, when a storm of supernatural strength boiled over the Iliac Bay like a malefic bay, like a malefic creature. Your boat was destroyed, but you managed to swim through the churning waters to a promontory rock. There, you found a cave and escaped the fury of the storm. You had only just lit a small fire when a mudslide sealed you within. Your fear of being buried alive calmed when you saw the corridor leading out of the cavern. Perhaps there's a way out of this cave after all. Once free of the cave, you can begin the Emperor's quest. The Elder-Scrolls-Daggerfall has a tutorial that can be active during the game. It runs throughout the first dungeon and for a short time after. Do you want to use the tutorial? Yes, let's absolutely use the tutorial. You feel as if the wilderness has more life than usual. As the runes crumble, life will come full circle. From where darkness lurks, nature will soon overcome. Armies begin to claim the strongholds of the world. The lost souls reawaken under the moon. The cities of High Rock and Hammerfell become more lively. Tutorial Lesson 1. The very first thing you want to do is experiment with moving your character around. Don't worry about monsters, there are none in this first room. When the text clears, move the mouse around to change where you are looking. Use the WASD keys to go around. Hint, those are the default keys. You can change them later using the escape key and the controls button. I'll be back in about 1 minute to tell you about arming yourself and fighting monsters. Okay. And here is Daggerfall, or at least in Daggerfall Unity. This obviously looks a lot different than the original Daggerfall, especially, and it's also going to look different than regular Daggerfall Unity because of the Dream mod, which is a graphics overhaul. So I guess let's quickly go to controls to see what they are. WASD is move, jump is space, C is crouch, run is left shift, rest is R, okay, transport is T. Steal mode is F1. Okay. Grab mode is F2. Info mode is F3. And talk mode is F4. Okay. Logbook is L. Notebook is N. Auto map is M. Travel map. I will say this. I've done a couple of changes with controls when I play this to test out some stuff. I changed cast spell and travel map to be opposite of one another, because I believe V was what you used to cast spells in at least my version of Arena, because I had a mod that changed some of the key bindings. So I'm used to having V as cast spell. So right now travel map is set to backspace. A status is I. Character sheet is F5. Inventory is F6. Switch hand is H. I'm no longer doing the click the right mouse button and swing to swing a sword. I'm using just mouse clicks. Basically, sheath is Z, use magic items F, abort spell is E, recast spell is Q. Okay. Let us go on ahead and I guess increase that just a tiny bit, and then let us actually save here, a brand new save. Let us save this as Vasip start, even though there is a start save. I like to have my own just to start. And then let us quickly go to this thing to see our character. We are level 1. We start with 24 gold. We are just a tiny bit fatigued. We start with 55 health, which is nice. I believe this just tells us our skills. Our log is meet us the 4th of Morningstar. I am on a mission from the Emperor to investigate the shade of King Lysandus. His spirit has been haunting the city of Daggerfall. The Emperor himself has charged me with the duty of laying his ghost to rest. There is also the minor matter of a letter he sent to the Queen of Daggerfall. If I should find out what happened to the letter, he would be most appreciative. Before landing in Daggerfall, a sudden storm capsized the ship. I barely made it to this cave. And then I believe that is it. Okay. And then spellbook. Let's see what we have in our spellbook. We have Salve Bruise, which is a heal. Smelling Salt, which heals fatigue. Balna's Balm, which is a heal health. So I'm assuming this one heals more than Salve Bruise does, because it's a little bit more expensive. And then Arcane Arrow, which is a damage. So let us move Arcane Arrow up to the top. Let's move that down and say that that is our order for things. And then let us quickly go to F6 and look at our character sheet. I will say this: there is quote-unquote nudity in this game. We're going to run through it. I don't know if I'm going to censor it or not. I don't know. I might. I probably am going to censor it. Depends on how graphic it is. I don't want to get a YouTube problem. But yeah. So for example, if I remove this and this, like, hey, he's naked. So just be aware of that. So let's see. We have leather greaves, which is a +3 to armor. We can equip that. Let's equip that immediately. We have an iron wakazashi, which can we use iron? I believe we can use iron. Yeah, we can. Okay, perfect. Let us re-equip that. I actually wanted to unequip the dagger. So we have an iron wakazashi, which is 0 to 9 damage. We have an iron broadsword, which does 1 to 13 damage. And we have an iron dagger, which is 0 to 5 damage. Let us do the broadsword because it is the most damage-dealing item we got. That is our spell book. That is nothing. Let us look. That is, we don't own a wagon. And then I don't know what all that does, but apparently it does something. We got equip, use, and info. So let's click info, candle, torch. That might be because of one of the mods I use, which basically, one of the mods in this game basically extinguishes all of the torches in this game, and you have to light them yourself, so I am aware of that. Casual cloak. Okay, what is that? Let me look. Okay, well, I thought maybe there'd be more info. I was expecting, like, I guess a Dark Souls, like, deep lore of, like, what this casual cloak is going to be. Okay, that's awesome. Let's keep that. And then what is this? A Khajiit suit. Okay, perfect. Let's just do that. That works overall, I think, better. And then we have 2 books. We got the Etiquette with Rulers by Aristera Lygen, which worth 738. Wow, okay. And The Fairy by Soon Praya. Like I said, at the end of every episode, if we have a book that we've not read, we're going to read. Let us read The Etiquette with Rulers by this person. Let me quickly go over to the book section I have and say that this has been read. That way it's marked, and then mark with an X, and actually mark it with like dark colors. That way I know it's read. So again, I'll do the outro here and now, and then for those that want to stick around to listen to the book, you can. But thank you guys so much for watching this first, or actually episode 0 of the Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall. I really appreciate the support, not only that I know is going to be coming with the series, but all the support that came with the Elder Scrolls 1 Arena. It really, I'm so appreciative of how much support I got from that series, as not only a new channel, but a new channel with the first game I decided to upload was a game from 1994, which, you know, most people would say is probably not the best choice for a new channel to do, but I'm so glad that the support I've gotten from you guys from that. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. It'll help me out so much. It'll help the channel out so much, and it's going to help you by telling you when a new episode of Daggerfall comes out. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification. Another great way to stay up to date on when a new episode of Daggerfall comes out is to follow me on Twitter at @TheSSHGaming. I tweet when a video goes live. I also pin to the top of my Twitter the upload schedule for the week, because I do record out by about 2-ish, maybe a little bit more than 2 weeks. If you have a suggestion in the comments, be aware that it'll take a while for me to implement it. I also ask you to please not post spoilers in this comment section or any comment section for any of the episodes for the Elder Scrolls. I want to go in as completely blind to these as I can. I appreciate it, you guys keeping up with that. You guys did a really good job of that in Arena. If you like this video, please do the favor and hit the thumbs up button. You have no idea how much hitting the thumbs up button helps a channel, whether it be large or small. So if you like the video, or you like me, or if you're excited for a blind playthrough of the Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall, hit the thumbs up button. Yeah, in the next episode, we are going to do this first dungeon and escape and probably go to our first town, and that's probably going to be the end of the episode. Again, I don't know how long this episode is. I don't know how long the next episode is going to be. I will say this: you will see the next episode probably in the next 30 minutes to an hour. It might already be up depending on when you're watching this, because you're getting today you're getting a 2-for-1. You're getting both episode 0 and episode 1 today, because again, I don't like releasing just a character creation episode. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching, and after I read this, I will see you next time. So the etiquette with rulers. Okay, you cannot scroll. Oh, you can't scroll. Okay. The etiquette with rulers. Because the rules are so complex and the stakes are so high, many people blanch at the thought of speaking with a noble with a title. For starters, it is important to address them correctly, for just as no one likes to be misnamed, no one likes to be mistitled. The problem is that in High Rock, traditions of the peerage differ slightly from region to region. The base rules follow. There are 8 kingdoms in High Rock in the following regions: North Point, Daggerfall, Shornhelm, Hamlorn, Barren, Evermore, Wayrest, and Johanna. If a woman is ruling one of these areas, she is called the Queen. The husband of a queen and the wife of a king is not necessarily of equal rank. They may not be king and queens themselves. Their children are princes and princesses. Their grandchildren are also princes and princesses. If a male ruler dies, his wife takes the title Dowager Queen. Dowager Queen. I apologize if I'm pronouncing any of this, providing there is not a Dowager Queen already. Like all rulers, there are exceptions. One noted exception took place recently in Daggerfall, when King Lysandus died. In most regions, his wife, Minisera, would not have become Dowager Queen of Daggerfall, because Lysandus' mother, the widow Nilfgaard, was still lived. In Daggerfall, however, it is permissible for there to be 2 persons with the same title. Thus, both Nilfgaard and Minisera have the title Dowager Queen. If a female ruler who does not share rank with her husband dies, there is no male equivalent to the word dowager. Widowers of queens usually take another title, either a lesser family title or one given by their children. There have been a few men in the history of High Rock who have fallen from being addressed as king to being addressed as Mr. at the death of their wife. Other regions are ruled by dukes and duchesses. Marquis or Marquises and Marquise or dear God, what is that word? Marquesanus? We're going with that. Who cares? Counts and countesses, viscounts and viscountesses, barons and baronesses, and lords and ladies. This list is theoretically listed from highest to lowest rank, but the ruler of a territory outranks all other nobles regardless of title. Dwynen, for example, is a barony, and the baron or baroness of Dwynen outranks any other noble in that territory, even dukes and counts. Okay. In theory, again, this may not be the case according to local customs. The eldest son or daughter of a noble takes their parents' highest family title, below their parents. Thus, the Duke of Northmoor is also Marquis of Halder, had a daughter who became the... oh god, it's that word. It became the Marquess of Halder. I am so screwing up that word. Kings and queens are always addressed as Your Majesty in conversation. Dukes and duchesses, Your Grace. All other rulers may be addressed with their title and name, or Lord and Lady and their name. A few hints may be needed to determine exactly who rules a territory. You may rely on people on the streets to make references to the ruler, but that may not be enough. After all, if the gossip involved Lord Beamish and Viscountess Beard, neither or both could be the ruler of the territory. I have found that a more predictable method is to pay some attention to the names of taverns and shops in a region. By tradition, many of these are called the Duke's Box, or the Lady's Provisions. This, more often than not, is the name of the ruler. If the shop's name is Lady Anisa's Provisions or Lord Boxworth's Fox, That is probably the name of the local titled merchant, not the ruler. A store with an unnamed ruler title has probably been around for some time and does not bother to change its name with a new name, the ruler. In speaking with any person, a ruler or not, it is best to know what sort of a person they are first. Rulers tend to stand on ceremony and prefer people addressing them speak politely and deferentially. There are, of course, exceptions to this, particularly among younger rulers or rulers new to positions. They may prefer a bolder, slangy style. If you are unsure of your ability to adopt the vocabulary of either an aristocrat or a criminal, choose to speak as plainly and directly as possible. You will seldom charm someone by plain talk, but you also not alienate by mangled politeness or dated slang. Alienating a ruler, I need not tell you, can be the last mistake one can make. Alright, and that is etiquette with rulers. So, again, if you watched all the way through that, we got tutorial lesson number 2. So I'm going to keep this up because I want to have this be the start of episode technically number 1. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.